This is a discussion about why I joined the Marines and my experience within it. The old test. You have to put all of your gubbins on this side so that it's not in the way of the camera.
So what do I do? Just push this thing in?
Up to you. Let's get some
Do you
oggin.
need to push it slow as fuck or what?
Doesn't really matter.
You love your coffee, don't you?
I fucking love coffee so much.
Coffee's your vice. Coffee was your vice in the Marines, eh?
Yeah, everyone's addicted to caffeine and nicotine.
Ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right, let's start off with how you actually joined the military and why.
I'll probably talk about why first.
Where were you?
I initially had the thought at college.
Right.
17, 18 years old. Some guy at college was like, oh, to join the paras, you have to run 1.5 miles in like 7.5 minutes or whatever. And I was like, well, that's fucking bullshit because I'm a good runner and that's like way too quick. And I ran 1.5 miles in 8 minutes and 10 seconds. The next day, went back into college and was like, this is just a ridiculous test. Did some research, found the Royal Marines, and it was like, to join one of the tests, you have to run 1.5 miles in 10.5 minutes or under. And I was like, fucking hell. I was
So
just
you
done
can be
that.
a Marine basically?
Yeah, I've just done it in less than like 2 minutes under, like 2 minutes and 20 seconds underneath that.
Yeah.
So I was like, and then I was just like pouring through the website like, oh my God, like this is me. Like at college, didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, needed a challenge, felt lost in life.
So when you were in college, so you'd left school?
Yeah.
So you'd left school when you were 16 basically, so school wasn't for you?
Well, I graduated from school into college.
Right,
I guess.
Okay. And doing what in college at that time?
Fucking chemistry, physics, maths, physical education. Yeah, I was like this, supposed to be a boffin, and I was like not even going to like half the lessons.
Yeah.
Started drinking, doing all sorts of stuff, and then...
And what were your mates like then? Do you still have those same mates or not?
Yeah, I do actually, yeah.
Alright, nice.
Yeah, quite a few of them actually.
Alright, sound.
And then I sort of pitched the idea to my parents. Actually, I was like, I want to join the military.
So you don't come from a military background then?
Absolutely not. Like, there was like not a single part of like this part of my life that was just like normal or like the thing to do. It was like the normal thing to do was go to college and then go to university.
Yeah.
What are you going to study at university? What's your job after? You
Yeah.
get a house, get a mortgage, all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, I don't think this is me at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and join the Marines. Anyway, so I pitched it to my parents and they were like, no. They were like, the military is for criminals and idiots. That's what they said, right, at the time. And I was just like, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense because, you know, like, that's what prison's for, whatever.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job for 2 years.
So you wanted to join the Marines, but then you ended up not joining. You were in a job for 2 years.
Exactly.
Instead.
So I was just working in an office, just thinking like, what the hell? So I cancelled my UCAS application to join, to go to university.
What's UCAS?
Oh, it's just, or maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe I should have gone to university. But just the application for uni,
Yeah.
I just cancelled it. Or I was like, this isn't me. Like I was just completely just against education at this point. I was like,
You needed
so
something
done with it.
different, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I needed something way different.
So
Anyway.
then you went into the Marines.
So I worked in this office for 2 years, but this office was like, it was IT related, but part of that office environment was actually, there was quite a lot of veterans in there.
Oh, right.
So I was like talking to veterans every day when I was in this office job, and I was just like, this is definitely the right decision because every single story that they're telling me is like the best story I've ever heard in my entire life. And one of them was an ex-Marine. And the moment that I decided that this was for me, actually this was like the decided moment. He told me that, he told me a story. He was like, one of the last commando test you do is the 30 miler, right? It's famous. Okay, you do 30 miles across Dartmoor with your rifle and day sack, a bit of weight in it.
So that's like an ultra marathon type thing.
Exactly, yeah. So you get 8 hours to do it, right? So, and you're already tired and fatigued before you do that. And he said, when he did it, he was getting off of the truck because you get troops on the back of trucks. And as he was getting off the back of the truck, his heel block of his boot got caught on a nail and ripped off his boot just before he started the 30 miler. Yeah.
And
so
he still had to do it, I think.
he went up to the training team and was like, my boot's just fallen apart. Like, can I get a new pair of boots? And they were like, no, you're just gonna have to do the 30 miler with like half a boot. And he was just like, okay, Roger. And I was like, did you do it? And he was like, yeah, of course I did. And then in that moment, I was like, I've got to give this a go. Like, for some reason, I was just like, that is me. Like, that is 100% me. Anyway, so I ignored my parents and just applied.
Because they were telling you not to do it.
Yeah, they were just like, well, none of my family. They were just like...
Yeah, I kind of know what that's like as well, because I think my mum's a bit like that, to be fair. Has that kind of view on it, like when I was younger, about doing that.
Yeah, kind of, they were just... I don't think they just understood.
Yeah, they just don't understand it, that's all it is.
It was just so different, but it's like so different, like so unbelievably different. In fact, my aunt said, isn't that really hard? I was like, oh, I'm going to join the Marines. So she was like, isn't that really hard?
Well, that's the point, right?
Don't a lot of people fail that? And I was like, yeah, so I want to give it a go.
Yeah, that's the point, challenge yourself. So how old were you then?
So I was 20 when I applied, and I just turned 21 when I started. And
so you always wanted to be in the Marines? You didn't want to be in the Army, the paratroops, or whatever it is? No, like, you just wanted to be a Marine, and that was it?
Yeah, from the age of 18. I actually found out about it pretty late. There's some people that like, they want to join when they're like 5 years old.
Yeah. There was somebody in my school that was like trying to do it all when he was like young.
Yeah, but I just...
Like 16, I think. He was coming to school with like fucking bricks in his bag.
I remember you saying, yeah.
And he failed though. Like he ended up failing the test.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard.
Yeah.
But I didn't even... Mate, the year before I joined was like so messy. Like I had random jobs. Like
were you hitting the gym before you joined?
No.
Were you a skinny thing or?
Skinny, not strong at all. Hardly any endurance. I could run like a half marathon, pretty rapid, like hour and a half.
So you had quite good fitness then.
Yeah, but only running. And then I got shin splints, so I actually turned up injured. I turned up with no strength, injured, like just being able to run basically. And that is the wrong way to do it. I don't know how I didn't get like more injured when I was in training, but Jesus Christ.
So what was the process of you applying to join the Marines then? So like that day you decided, right, fuck it, I'm going to join the Marines. Like, what was the application process to join the Marines?
It's different than it is now, but you go into an Armed Forces careers office. So there was one in Reading, right?
Yeah, so that's like the army ones that you see sometimes knocking about, like a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
the high street fucking thing.
Yeah, so you walk in there and then it's like the army and the navy were in there. I think the RAF had their like little desk as well. Yeah. So I was just like, well, there's no like marine specific one. You have to go to the navy one.
Oh, really?
So I like go up to the navy one. And I was like, I'd already phoned up on the phone and sent them an email, and like some guy in the navy like was on the phone to me. And he was like,
just go in.
You want to join the Marines, do you? Like in a slightly mocking way, as if like he gets hundreds of those phone calls a day.
Yeah.
And I was
like,
yeah,
he probably does.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, 100%. And then have to do like a what's it called? Like a basic brain test, just to make sure you're not like
retarded. Yeah,
exactly. Slow. And did that. Do a medical. I failed my medical. Got deferred by 6 months. Which was annoying. Met a few.
So why did you fail your medical then?
Because I had spots on my back and shoulders.
What? Like acne?
Yeah, but not even that bad. The reason behind that is because you carry such high weight on your Bergen big rucksack.
Right, I see. So it's going to be rubbing basically.
Exactly. So your chances of infection especially if you go to the jungle as well. It's like, so I had to take a course of antibiotics and then come back, which is a bit annoying. Right. And then after that it's changed now, but you do a PGFT, so it's like run a mile and a half on the treadmill. It's easy, basically. You just run flat out.
And are you doing all this with like a group, or are you just like doing this kind of on your own accord?
Individually, all the way up to PRMC. So now it's called CPC, Candidate Preparation Course. It used to be called the Potential Royal Marines course, PRMC. And that's where you turn up to Commando Training Centre, Royal Marines, with a group of people, and you do bleep tests. No, sorry, rewind. You do the mile and a half run, press ups, sit ups, pull ups, and then the bleep test. And then the next day you get like thrashed on bottom field, do the endurance course. It was like ridiculously hard. I think there was probably like 50 people turned up on that, and about 10 of us passed or something like that.
Oh really? And that was just like the initial
that wasn't like
That's not even like the start of it.
Nah, it wasn't the start at all. Yeah.
Like there's some people just aren't cut out for it basically.
I think there's a stat that I heard that 1% of lads that want to join the Marines are going to an AFCO. Like they go to the Armed Forces Careers Office.
Right.
And have that conversation with that bloke. About 1% actually make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just into like the training.
Well, to get the green lit.
Yeah.
One of those. It's like 1% that ever apply. Because the drop-off rate is just insane.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm surprised it's even that high actually.
Yeah.
Especially because they're quite young. You'd imagine a lot of people are just like don't even know what they're doing with themselves. I feel like military is just like one of those things that people will just go into when they don't know what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a big thing that I see online now. Is I talk to lads and I'm like, "What's your plan with training for the military?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do some like body weight circuit, or like, you know, I'll do like 3 sets of 20 press ups." And I'm like, I know I know what you're trying to do, but it's just not effective whatsoever. You need to be in the gym building strength. You need to be like building real endurance.
Yeah.
Like I trained completely wrong for the Marines, and the training was so much harder than it needed to be because I was not physically prepared.
And what were the other lads like that were there? Were they all kind of...
Mate, you had a mixture of all sorts.
Did you? Yeah.
You had like the dregs of society in there that didn't make it very far, and then you also had the like best like blokes that you'd ever meet. Yeah. But it was also like a little bit of luck, because I know like lads in training that were really, really good at everything but didn't make it. Like they didn't make it. They were like perfect.
So why do you think that was then?
People get injured. People don't want it as well. So you could be like the best soldier in the world, but if you don't want to be a soldier, then you're just not going to make it, are you?
So from that moment on, when you did that train, like the first initial test to get in, like, did you know, like, this is for me? Or were you still in doubt?
Yeah. Thing is, I was in the scouting movement for 9 years beforehand.
What's that?
Right. So I was in the scouts. I was at Beavers, Cubs, Scouts, and then like Explorers and Young Leader. So
making fires and stuff.
Yeah, like doing first aid and orienteering and map reading and like staying out in like tents and sleeping bags. So when I was going through training, it was like we were doing first aid and orienteering and map reading and sleeping in tents and sleeping bags. Well, poncho. I was like doing everything, and I was like, this is just a little bit harder than what I've already done in the past. Like there's a couple of new things, like this weapon system that we have to learn, the SA-80. It's like, to be fair, I did shooting before I even joined the military anyway. In fact, I was probably
one. Scouts.
Yeah.
Do they do that? Shooting?
I was just going to a shooting club every week, and I was getting coached. I almost joined the GB shooting club. So when I got into the Marines, I was firing groups, like grouping, like super tight. And the training team were like, "Have you done shooting before?" I was like, yeah. I was coached for like 6 months, almost joined the GB shooting squad, and they were like, "Right, yeah, we can see that. You're a fucking good shot." I was like, yes, get in. And then the only thing that was new to me was like radios. That was like pretty much the only thing that was like kind of new. Everything else was just a grizz, more of a grizz.
So you kind of fitted in anyway a little bit.
Yeah, and it was
kind of merged into it.
It just suited me like perfectly, basically. And then, don't get me wrong, obviously found it like the hardest thing I've ever done was training. Like bits of it were just so savage, like awful, so awful. Darkest times of my life.
So the training. So when you started the training, you would have been how old?
Started May 2016, so I was 21, just turned 21.
Just turned 21. Right, and then you get assigned to like a unit, or how does that work?
So I passed out as a Royal Marines Commando on February the 3rd, 2017, and then 2 weeks after that, got posted to fucking, well, it was not even a draft. Had to go and do my lorry licenses. They get you to do your C class and C plus E class. So you can drive. So were you
driving cars already? Did you have a license?
Yeah, I could drive a car already, but then they belt feed everyone through like driving lorries and stuff.
And how long does that take? So is that the first phase? Like they get that out of the way?
Go and drive all the military vehicles for a month. Then after that, you actually get assigned to a unit. So again, it's fucking changed, right? I got assigned to 40 Commando, which is a fighting unit, as a general duties rifleman. So that means that your primary job is frontline soldier. And then pretty much the entire time I was there, it was like, we were on like 24 hours notice to move anywhere in the world. They kept on fucking hammering it home. Our Bergens had to be packed all neatly in a room, right? And they were like, you'd go on leave or go home at the weekend, and they'd be like, remember, you're on 24 hours notice to move. We're at the tip of the spear. You go anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
And like after a few months, you're like hearing the same thing. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like it's peacetime, you know, nothing's really going on, right? And then you just do like random jobs. You do soldiering, you know, like practicing being a soldier because there's quite a lot to do. So you just have to like refine your skills over and over, work with the lads. So we're constantly in the field practicing all that sort of stuff. Going on the ranges as well, so like live ranges, they were fucking so much fun. So like you'd have
so the field, like what's in the field?
So they would just practice, right? So you'd go in the field, right, and you would then practice.
So where are you staying at this moment?
This is just in the south of the UK.
Okay.
Right. So we use Dartmoor quite a lot because 40 Commando is in Taunton, so like Dartmoor is like pretty close. And then so we'd go on Dartmoor for like a week or 2 or 3 weeks. We'd go to Salisbury Plain or whatever, and then there'd be like some villages around, and then they would just be like, right, there's enemy in this village, we're gonna go and attack it. So then you do all the prep for that, orders and get all the face paint on, cam cream as we call it, and then you would like do the rehearsals, and then you'd all get in your troops and sections and stuff, and then you would professionally go in and clear the area.
Right.
So we were just like practicing that over and over again, and then like after the exercise, it's like what went well, what didn't go well. You know, sometimes we do like troop on troop. You know, sometimes we do the live ranges. Obviously, you can't shoot each other with live rounds, so we would just be practicing everything like we've just said, except it's targetry rather than real people, obviously. So yeah, just constantly practicing that. So that was
when
like,
you're saying you're out in the range, that's when you're out shooting the guns.
Yeah.
That's when you're out like, practicing your shots, basically.
Yeah, and then every other time we still had everything was the same except it's just blank.
And then when you're out on the field, that's you like clearing something like a missions and
so
order. So you need to go and clear something, basically.
Yeah.
And then when you're not there, you're at base.
Yeah, and then when you're not
right?
when you're not on exercise, you're on base, and then you've got like.
So basically, there's 3 different things you could be doing. You could either be at base, you can be in the field, or you can be at the.
But there's like so much more.
Well,
you have courses. You'd have like courses to go on.
Yeah.
So like you have other like skills. You'd have to go and do your underwater escape training. Like, sometimes we did drill. So like fucking
fitness.
No, drill was in like getting all dressed up smartly, and we had to go this thing here. Yeah, so this one, that's Prince Philip's last public engagement at Buckingham Palace. So we stood outside Buckingham Palace in our blues.
You have to just stand there and not move.
Stood there in a greatcoat with my rifle for 3 hours in the rain, just standing like this.
And you're not allowed to move, are you?
Not allowed to move, yeah. So it was like drill. So there was lots of that. But anyway, going back to like you're the tip of the spear, like you can be deployed anywhere at any moment's notice, right? It fucking happened. 2017. I think it was like September, August, September. Hurricane Irma struck the Caribbean islands and absolutely destroyed like half the islands there. Obviously, we've got British overseas territories over there. So the BVI, British Virgin Islands, Turks and Caicos Islands. So we've got like some influence over there. So those islands got absolutely decimated by Hurricane Irma, and then their governments were like, where's our help?
We need help.
And then the UK government and therefore the military flapped and then just sent every man and his dog from 40 Commando to the islands. So we flew out there, we landed in Barbados of all places, we're there for like 24 hours, and then everyone just sort of like got on the C-130s and just did island hopping and basically spread out across these islands. And mate, I've never seen destruction like it.
Was it totally destroyed?
Mate, I've never seen, it was like,
houses were just
like the destruction. Like you looked at it, you're like, how can weather have that much force? Like how do people survive that? Like 180 mile an hour winds. For reference, in a skydiving tunnel, you only need about 90 to 100 miles an hour, and you can stay afloat in a wind tunnel.
Wow.
Skydiving.
Yeah,
so imagine almost double that. That's the winds that was in this hurricane, and people's houses were like just gone.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was insane. So we were there for like a month, like helping repairs and stuff.
And had you had training on that kind of thing before you went, or when you went there, was it kind of new, all of that? Like,
well, a prison got damaged and some inmates escaped. So some lads were like tasked to like go around with the police and find them.
And how did they get on with that?
Yeah, I wasn't part of that. It was just so annoying.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Yeah, because I was new to the unit, so I was like chomping at the bit to go on that, and I ended up in the police station, like fully tooled up, good to go, like live ammo in, Glock by my side, like fully just like ballied up, helmet on. I was like, I can't believe this is fucking happening. Like, I've only just joined the corps. And then they were like, yeah, we only need 2 lads. And they picked obviously the 2 lads that are like in fire support group that had done years of this job, that had been in for like 5 or 6 years. Of course, they're going to choose them over me who've done like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I just like went back to the car and went back to.
So what was your job when you were on there then?
I did some sentry for the airport.
What's that, sentry?
Sentry is just where you just stand as an armed guard.
Right.
Just in case, because was there like
militants like
ravaging
about the place? Like,
there was just less law and order. There was no power. There was no running water.
Like some people were taking advantage of that.
Yeah, there was people going around so the police were like doing more and more patrols with like obviously the soldiers and stuff. One of my mates actually went on a patrol with the police, and he said that they went into like some neighbourhood after hours. A police car came around the corner, and fucking he just saw there was like 50 people just running in all different directions because they'd heard that there was Royal Marine Commandos with the police, and they were like, fuck that. yeah. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So how long were you there for?
Only a month.
Okay.
But it was like, it was a month.
Did they have a base there, or did you have to set up base?
Nah. So we were in an airport that was like, the airport was getting used for military aircraft. So rotary and fixed wing aircraft. So like CH-47s, Chinooks for supplies, and then C-130s again for supplies and troops. And we were in this airport, and there was no air conditioning, there's no power, there's no running water, right? And we just had a cot bed that's about the same size as this table. A cot bed with a mosquito net on it, and then your Bergen was at the end of that, and that was your space. And there was 100 or 200 of them, all next to each other, all in lines. And it was 30 degrees during the day, and it was 30 degrees during the night.
No fans?
No, there was nothing, mate. And we had, the toilet was just a bucket, and our shower was bottled water.
So you were going to the toilet in a bucket?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was honestly like...
You have your own bucket, or was that a shared bucket?
No, it was a shared bucket, mate. we had nothing, literally nothing. To get a shower, you would just like, you would pour a couple of bottles of water in your head, soap yourself up.
So your sleeping area was outside?
Sleeping inside the airport.
Right, okay, so you were inside the airport.
But all like lined up, yeah. Yeah, that wasn't
Nice.
great. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So you were there for 1 month.
Yeah.
And then after that, you went back to where?
Went back to 40 and then carried on doing what we were doing before. So like exercising, drill details, just loads of random stuff.
So do you think at this point, like say you're a year in or something like that, have you had done the most challenging thing that you'd done in the Marines yet or not?
Nah.
No.
By far, no.
So like this first year was kind of just like easing you into it, like preparing you for what was to come, or?
It wasn't easing in. It was still hard. It's like obviously a hard job. Like it was easier than training, but it was still obviously hard, and we still did things that were hard. Like one exercise, we went in the field for 3 days, but we weren't allowed to take Bergens. So it was like no sleeping bags, nothing. So we just like roughing it for like 3 days.
So like when you were shitting in the bucket and stuff, that wasn't even close to like how bad it was eventually going to get.
Wow. When I'll come on to then after that, when I became an LC, I didn't actually want to become an LC.
So what's an LC? So that's a change of unit?
Landing craft, yeah. So when you do 1 to 2 years as a general duties rifleman, you then specialised, right? Mm-hmm. And a specialisation could be anything. It could be heavy weapons, it could be landing craft, it could be communications, it could be a clerk.
And you don't choose your path?
It could be a driver. Sometimes you get chosen for stuff. As in,
because they see a talent in you or something.
No. As in, they need people to do the shit jobs that no one wants to do, so they'll force you to do a shit job for like 2 years.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, I definitely don't want that to happen. So I wanted to be a telecommunications technician because I wanted the qualifications with that. I didn't really want it. I just didn't want to get pinged for a shit job.
Yes, that was right. Radios and.
Yeah, but I actually chose to be landing craft, and I was like, I don't really want to do that, but I don't really want to be a driver or a signaller.
Yeah. So how do you find out when so your 2 years comes up and then they're just like send out a leaflet telling you like you're doing this, or
you're just a number on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
essentially, right? Troops are just numbers on spreadsheets, right? So the people who are in charge, all the officers and sergeant majors and stuff, they're moving names around on a spreadsheet or numbers around on a spreadsheet. So then they'll be like, yeah, Marine Gray's landing craft, you need to tell him, okay, roger. And then he picks up the phone, he's like, yeah, you're on a landing craft specialisation course in September.
What happens if you go like, nah, fuck that?
Well, I literally went to the office and I was like, oh, so I don't want to do that. I didn't choose. And he was like, I don't care. He was like, you're doing it. That's how it works, right? Yeah. And anyway, it was a blessing in disguise because I did that for a couple of years and then did some insane deployments. That's when we went to Norway. In fact, rewind. I went to the jungle first, and I spent a month in secondary jungle in Belize.
This is the one that you were telling me about before, right? That fucking.
What? Which one?
Like before we were even doing this today. In the sauna one time you were telling me about you were in the jungle.
Oh yeah.
Is that the same one that you're talking about?
Yeah. So I've only been once, but oh mate, what a deployment that was.
And where was that?
In Belize, Central America.
So does that count as Amazon forest or not?
No, not really. I mean, it might as well be. It was like
Belize.
Yeah, it was pretty
What was
crazy.
going on in Belize?
They have Mayan pyramids there. Have like some of the biggest Mayan pyramids in the world there.
Cool.
But we were like 4 hours away from civilization, just down some dirt track.
So they've just stuck you all in a. Like, did you know you were going to Belize, or did they do that thing?
Yeah, I actually volunteered. They offered it out to our squadron. So I was in 539 Assault Squadron at the time, and they were like, anyone want to go to Belize on Exercise Curry Trail, it was called. And I was like, fucking roger. No one else put their hand up.
Really?
I was like, what's going on here? There was like 2 lads from a different troop were going, and then it was just me from my troop. And then I was like, oh, I need some details off of it. And they were like, oh yeah, so there's like about 200 people from a different unit going. And then there's like some attached ranks from my Army Commando engineers that were going. And then there was like 3 landing craft people in like the whole exercise that were going. And there was no boats there. So I was essentially back to General Duty's rifleman, like loving life. This is so much easier than driving boats. Anyway, so yeah, you always get given joining instructions and a kit list and stuff. And I prepped my kit in the cages for like 12 hours straight, like changing it all over to like jungle specialization. And then got flown out to Belize and then spent a month in the canopy. So obviously everyone was brand new. So you spent a couple of weeks on camp. And then they would like teach you the basics on camp, and they would be like, oh, this kit and equipment we need for the jungle, this is how you use it, then you get issued it. Right, go practice that. So like hammock and like your parang, basically get issued a sword like this big, it's called a parang.
Yeah.
Your hammock is obviously like different from what you would sleep in like back in the UK in a temperate environment or Norway. Like the jungle, you have to be obviously raised up in a hammock.
So you were getting trained all this when you were in Belize, you didn't know any of this before?
No, nothing at all. So we were in a camp called Batsub, which is like the Belizean and UK military have like a shared like camp.
Right, okay. And so you met the Belize people there as well?
Some of the Rangers, yeah. And then we did a couple of weeks on camp, and then we went into the jungle for a month. So it was like, lads, tomorrow we're going into the jungle for literally a month. So like, take everything you need, obviously. I didn't take my phone, no book, literally just the clothes I was wearing, which was obviously military gear, and then my Bergen rifle. That was it. And then just went in for 4 months on rations. And then they would teach you, and then like for the first like week or so, they would teach you jungle survival, jungle demolitions, jungle advanced to contact, so like weapon drills in the jungle. And then obviously like how to just do like admin in the jungle, how to like live, how to look after yourself, how to look after your like kit and equipment, how to set up remember I was telling you, you set up your hammock and your poncho in complete pitch black. Like you literally can't see anything. So I was like fiddling.
And you were saying it's like even darker in a forest than it would be just like out in a field because it was blocking the light as well, right?
The only other darkest place I've ever been in my entire life is when I was caving. And the guy was like, right, everyone turn off all of your lights. And you literally is like, the black is so black it feels like it's pressing on your eyelids. It's the same as the jungle.
Yeah.
Like you literally look around and you can't fucking see shit.
And you're having to move in that.
And you have to like you have to get out of your wet kit, get in your dry kit and set up your poncho and hammock and take your compass out of your wet shirt and put it in your dry shirt so that you've got the emergency rendezvous like bearing on your compass.
Yeah.
Like all that's when it's pitch black and you can't use any light.
So like
every single night for a month.
Yeah. So like, what was the thing that you were doing there? Like, say you get deployed, you've done one night. Like, what is your task?
So it was basically just become effective as a soldier in the jungle is like the task.
Right. Okay.
So it's like this is a completely different environment to work in. Like, can you just check that that's still rolling actually? Because I'm a bit worried.
Yeah, it is.
Thank fuck.
39.
So no one's operated in the jungle before. Obviously, some people were there. You have like jungle instructors. What are they called again? I can't remember what they're called.
Jungle instructor.
Yeah, no, seriously. So they'll go and spend months in the jungle, and they'll become like the subject matter expert on everything to do with the jungle. And then they
Is that like a qualification?
yeah, full on like qualification. It's
Yeah.
like almost like a specialization. So there'll be a guy that had been there for like years.
So like, why when you guys are in there, right? You're saying how dark it is. Why have you not got night vision? Would that defeat the purpose, or?
You don't really wear helmets, and then the night vision doesn't really work because there's not enough light. And then also to use IR, it like basically casts a massive like IR beam. IR is infrared. So when you cast a massive IR beam, other night vision goggles can pick that up. It's like a second sun. It's like it sticks out an absolute mile.
So you're saying that like if you were, so two things here. If you were in a cave, for example, night vision will not work because there is no light.
No, night vision is an image intensifier.
So night vision picks up tiny light particles or whatever it is,
yeah,
and enhances that to help.
Exactly. So if there's no light, they don't work.
It's not even possible for that to work.
No, you have to have some light or IR.
Right. Okay. And then the beam that you were talking about.
Yeah, so you can have you have a torch on the night vision goggles, but it's a torch that we can't see with our naked eye. It's called IR. It's infrared.
Right.
So our phones use infrared. If you ever see one of these at night, that thing will blast out our IR as like the facial scanner. You can see it on night vision goggles, but you can't see it with like your naked eye.
So what you're
saying? So if you're walking out and about, let's say that in the UK, right, you're in a forest, right, and some guy has like turned on his IR beam, and the enemy have turned on and they've got their night vision goggles on. It's the same as if no one had night vision goggles and you just shined a white light through the fucking forest.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same. Yeah, they would just be like, yeah, they're over there.
So they don't use that. What's it called? IR by default, right? That is something you would turn on if it's too dark for you to be able to see anything.
Yeah, but you get told not to turn it on.
Right, okay, because it's just
you've got to remember, as a Marine, anything that's the hardest possible way, that's the way that we do it.
Yeah.
It's like what's the hardest possible way?
So then if you did get deployed into like a war scenario, then your tools that you're going to have is going to make it feel just so easy because you're used to doing it.
Well, yeah, but you still wouldn't use the IR, basically.
Yeah.
Because it gives away your position.
So it's basically, it's effectively pointless, that IR thing.
In the jungle, when you were walking up a hill, you weren't allowed to touch any foliage or any trees to help you like climb up a hill, because if you touched a tree or you grabbed a tree, it would send shockwaves up to the top of the tree, and the top of the tree would move, and then that would be a telegraph to the enemy of where you are.
Yeah. So like, say you were fighting